My mother said I visited too often, so I stopped coming home entirely. I grew up as my mother's caretaker more than her son. Dad left when I was 9, and I became the man of the house overnight. I mowed the lawn, fixed the leaky pipes, drove her to doctor's appointments before I even had a license. When I got a job at 16, half my paycheck went to household bills without her ever asking. I just knew. After college, I moved 30 minutes away, but came home every single weekend. I'd check on her medications, make sure she was eating properly, handle whatever repairs the old house needed. I restocked her fridge every Sunday. I programmed her phone when she couldn't figure it out. I was there for every holiday, every birthday, every random Wednesday when she sounded lonely on the phone. I thought I was being a good son. I thought she appreciated having someone who showed up. Then she started dating a man named Gerald from her church group, and everything I'd done for 20 years suddenly became a problem. Gerald moved in fast. 3 months of dating, and suddenly his shoes were by her door, his truck in her driveway. I tried to be supportive, brought him a nice bottle of whiskey, invited them both to dinner at my place. Gerald shook my hand but never looked me in the eye. He started making comments about how often I came around. "Doesn't your son have his own life?" I heard him ask her once. "It's like he's checking up on you." My mother laughed nervously and said nothing. The next few visits felt different. Gerald would answer the door instead of her. He'd hover during our conversations. When I offered to fix the broken garbage disposal, Gerald insisted he'd handle it. It stayed broken for 2 months. I told myself this was just an adjustment period, new relationship energy. He'd settle down eventually. Instead, my mother called me one evening and asked if I could space out my visits. She said Gerald felt like I was too involved in her life. I asked her directly what she meant. She sighed like I was being difficult. "You come every weekend, Daniel. It's too much. Gerald says it's not normal for a grown man to be this attached to his mother." I reminded her about everything I'd done, the bills I'd helped cover when she was between jobs, the roof I'd paid to replace 2 years ago, the countless hours of my life I'd spent making sure she was okay. She got quiet and said, "I didn't ask you to do any of that. Maybe you were doing it for yourself, not me." Something inside me went cold. I told her I understood. Then I gave her exactly what she wanted. I stopped coming home entirely. No more Sunday grocery runs. No more fixing things Gerald couldn't handle. No more checking in. I didn't announce it dramatically. I just stopped showing up. 3 weeks passed without a word from her. The call came on a Thursday night. Not from my mother, but from the hospital. She'd fallen down the stairs and broken her hip. Gerald had been at a bar when it happened. She'd laid there for 4 hours before he came home and found her. I drove straight there, walked into her room, and found her looking smaller than I'd ever seen her. Gerald was pacing by the window, already defensive. "These things happen," he said, before I even spoke. "Old houses have steep stairs." I ignored him and went to my mother's side. She grabbed my hand and started crying. "I didn't think you'd come." I asked her why she didn't call me when it happened. She looked away. "Gerald said I should stop bothering you, that you'd made it clear you didn't want to be involved anymore." I turned to Gerald slowly. "She was alone for 4 hours with a broken hip. Where exactly were you?" He puffed up his chest. "I don't answer to you. This is between me and your mother." The nurse came in with discharge paperwork and looked at both of us. "She'll need full-time care for at least 6 weeks. Physical therapy, help with basic mobility. Who's handling that?" Gerald suddenly had somewhere else to look. The silence stretched long enough for the nurse to raise an eyebrow. I signed the papers myself, told them I'd be taking her to my place. Gerald started to protest, said she belonged at home, that he could take care of her. The nurse cut him off. "Sir, you left her on the floor for 4 hours. I don't think anyone in this room believes that." My mother looked at Gerald, really looked at him, maybe for the first time. "You told me Daniel didn't want me around. You told me he said that." Gerald's face flickered. "I was trying to protect you from being a burden." I stepped closer to him. "She was never a burden to me. I showed up every week for 20 years because I wanted to. You convinced her that love was smothering because it made your life easier. Get out." He looked at my mother for backup. She just turned her head toward the wall. He left without another word. During her recovery at my house, my mother apologized more times than I could count. She admitted Gerald had been isolating her slowly, convincing her that everyone who cared was actually controlling her. Classic manipulation she couldn't see until she was lying on the floor alone, waiting for someone who never came. Gerald moved out of her house 2 weeks later. She sold it and bought a small condo 10 minutes from my place. I visit every Sunday again, but now she meets me at the door before I even knock.